but getting me back into fighting form, being in contact with the folks from Compass House, and knowing how I felt about one particular lady, never mind the fact that 10 to 1, this was, I guess, ordained or predestined for quite some time, because there's more than just a few similarities there. And perhaps I was made to be even more like her so we could even be more compatible. And as the old saying goes, in God's time, not in my time. That's a big proponent in AA, and as I am a big believer in what, well, let's just say a role model of mine always taught me, or it led me to have a very good life and a peaceful and comfortable existence for an extended period of time. You know, you did do a lot of good for me in being the humble man that I am. I would be remiss if I ignored that as well. I think that you jumped the gun on a few things, mostly that I wanted any part of you other than friendship, family, and things to that nature. And the sad part about that is you don't listen to boundaries, and yet I'm supposed to on a constant and consistent basis, as that was part of all this. And the one excuse that you continue to come up with are threats. When I found out exactly what you had been up to, and looking at the bigger picture as things started to make sense, I became infuriated that I had ignored such a horrible, unstable influence in my life for an extended period of time. And I had become so totally paranoid over your presence and anything that you uttered. And with good reason. And it wasn't paranoia that was firing off every time we were close. It was my fucking intuition. And you knew what that was, and yet you had said on a constant basis that that was a present to me from the devil. And it wasn't from the devil. And the games that you had begun to play and the things that you had begun to say were causing me serious doubt as to whether or not you had my best interests at heart. And the information that was released about me, the sensitive information that people could have only known from somebody that was in my closer social circle, and the things that were said to those shelters as I stayed there for an extended period of time, caused me a lot of emotional and mental grief. And as I said earlier, if you fix the leg that you break, you can't really be mad at somebody, or you can't really expect a big thank you. Being the fact that you deemed it appropriate that I should finally be given one more kick at the can. And I get it right, it is what it is, and after all, we are family. The only problem with that is you don't treat family like you treated me for any particular reason. And if you knew enough to know about this particular subject, you can't force anybody to A, go to rehab, or B, go to therapy. You can only support them as they face their challenges in their daily life. And you misdiagnosed me as it was. And that has been going on for the better part of my life. As people take other people's explanations and don't bother to actually observe and look for themselves and then do an analysis from there. And as I was told in Penticton and 2 other places, doctors are notoriously and can be fallible and wrong. And I get it, and I suppose that nothing can be done about it at this particular point in time, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm very hurt, very disappointed, and have gotten to the point where there are certain members of this family that I'm cutting out of my life permanently. And the fact that certain people act innocent in all this and refuse to be accountable, the exact same lessons that they taught me on a constant basis, to be accountable, to search my conscience, to own my shit, and to say when I did something wrong and to make amends for it. There are certain people in this situation whose ego is right fucking out of control. And there are certain people in this situation that are getting stigmatized for having an out of control ego and yet have remained remarkably cool-headed. And even tempered when anybody else would have fucking freaked out by now and killed somebody. See, and I can't tell you what to do because you're so set in your ways. You are at that age anyway where no one can tell you any different, and you're just going to keep doing what you're doing. And it's super funny because certain people are remarkably adept at telling other people how they should run their lives and seemingly not being able to take their own advice. But I guess in time, and you know, I'm not even going to say that because it probably won't soften. And you know, like, don't ever think you're going to see me at Rutland Church anytime soon. And I get that, you know, like I have to, I guess YouTube said it best a few nights ago in the sense that a father was talking to his son. It's like, I don't have to like you. And you know, were I to go to Cheryl's, I mean, literally that would be a hell of a risk, being the fact that that was actually the original place where this all started to fall apart to begin with, because at that particular time I was told that I was copying someone else and in point of fact did not want any success of my own. And this whole thing has been a fucking shit show from start to finish. Especially since we talked in Penticton right before you sent me $60 and you fucking told me point blank that my disposition was that of a manly or masculine individual that probably should go be something to the nature of a fucking cop or something like that. And perhaps there's some sort of hidden message here. Maybe a job or something that I'm missing, I'm not quite sure. Certain patterns would point to that fact. However, as it stands right now, there are certain actions that have taken place in this particular situation that I do not approve of. And that have cost me a certain part of me as a person that I will never get back, based on the mistaken assumption of a few people that put in the wrong light in a very poor context was misconstrued as something other than what it was. And I get that it's up to trauma that dictates how people, you know, like perceive reality and how people, you know, take in sensory stimulation and things of that nature, and what they see and what they hear. And everybody hears it differently, right? And you can ask 10 people what they thought of one sentence and you get 10 different responses, because certain people have different types of trauma or experiences in their life, being the fact that we're all made up of environmental circumstance, the people that we meet and things to that nature. Guaranteed you will get 10 different responses. So what one person construes as no big deal, another person could take on as a very big deal. Mind you, what I do not approve of is forced setups. People giving me orders of what I have to do and what I must accept now that I've been given a situation that I had absolutely no say in. And certain people waiting to just have me fade away in the background, which isn't going to happen just yet, as I have to deal with the beast in the basement and settle up a few old academic debts, as it were, before I fade off into the sunset and put on my white hat as the black hat no longer suits me, and ride off into the sunset with a good-looking blonde and a saddlebag full of dough that I earned, of course.